Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really compelling journey. We're piecing together a life story, just one person's life, from, well, a whole collection of historical documents, things like draft cards, military records, local newspaper bits. Our mission, to pull out the key insights, the real nuggets about this person's journey and give you a shortcut to being, well, really informed about it.
Yeah, it's quite something. You take these scattered fragments, and by weaving them together, you start to see this vivid picture emerge. A life lived and ultimately a life given. It really brings history down to a very human level.
Absolutely. So let's start at the beginning for Roy Elfund. We need to look at his roots, his early life, based on these first documents we have. Okay, so he was born Roy LeVerfun, June 13th, 1919, in Nemaha, Kansas. And his job, pretty typical for the place and time, listed as self-farm. Basically a farmhand.
Right, a farmhand.
Then we've got his World War II draft registration card, dated October 16th, 1940. Puts him in Goff, Nemaha County, Kansas. His father, William Howard Fund, is listed as his contact. We even get a description. 5'10", 175 pounds, dark brown complexion, blue eyes, brown hair.
It's fascinating, isn't it? These simple documents, they give you this snapshot.
Yeah.
A moment in time, often right before a massive life change. Here's this young guy, a farmhand, probably expecting life to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And boom, history intervenes. He's about to be pulled onto a totally different path.
And it happened fast. Less than 2 months after that draft card, Roy Elfund enlisted. December 23, 1940, in Holton, Kansas. Got his Army serial number, 21072-5158. Joined the infantry, National Guard. Still listed as farmhand, general farm, single, no dependents.
And joining the National Guard then, pre-war,
Yeah.
that's significant. For a lot of guys, that was the on-ramp to active duty. As the country geared up, these local units became, federalized pretty quickly. Citizen soldiers almost overnight.
But Roy's service, it wasn't just about training. He hit some pretty big personal challenges almost right away. Early on, Camp Robinson News mentions him in Company E, 137th Infantry. Standard stuff. But then, by March 42, a local paper says he's hospitalized. In Springfield, Missouri, treatment for an injury to the base of the spine. And get this, it was an injury he got when a boy.
Wow. So a pre-existing condition.
Yeah. The paper says a severe operation. He got an 18-day furlough home to Goff to recover. His parents even went down to Springfield to visit him while he was in the hospital.
That really brings home something we don't always think about. The physical toll, besides combat, these underlying health issues, pre-existing problems.
Yeah.
Soldiers were dealing with all that before even potentially seeing action. Makes you wonder how common that was.
Right. It's not just about bullets and bombs. It's about the body holding up under all kinds of stress. And his health issues didn't stop there. Later on, June 1944, he's hospitalized again, this time, mumps.
Mumps. Seriously.
Yep. And the timing is just, wow. He was in England, right around D-Day. So this bout of mumps meant he wasn't part of the initial invasion force. He got back to duty later that year, but still, imagine that.
That is incredible. Missing one of the most pivotal moments of the war because of mumps. It just shows you, doesn't it, how random things could be. Fate, luck, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't just about bravery. Sometimes it was just about whether you caught a childhood illness at the wrong time.
Exactly. Adds such a human, almost mundane layer to this massive historical event. So, okay, he recovers from mumps. What happens next? He gets deployed to France, finally sees action. By July 1944, though, he'd only actually been overseas for maybe 3 months, not long at all, serving with the 137th Infantry Regiment, 35th Infantry Division.
The Santa Fe Division.
And then, the records show, July 1944, a battle casualty, an injury from a bullet missile location, upper extremity, scapular region, so the shoulder blade area.
What?
The record just says, died. July 1944. Multiple sources lock the date, July 14th, 1944. In France, his rank by then was sergeant. SGT.
And July 44, that puts it right in the thick of the Normandy breakout. Allied forces were pushing hard inland from the beaches, facing really fierce German resistance around places like Saint-Lô. The fighting was incredibly intense, brutal. Casualties were extremely heavy during that phase. His regiment, the 137th, would have been right in the middle of that grind.
And the news hitting home.
Okay.
You can just imagine. Goff, Kansas. A small town. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. W.H. Fund, they got the word by telegram. The local paper noted he was the first soldier from Goff to pay the supreme sacrifice. It hit the community hard.
Yeah. In a small town like that, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
That loss would have been deeply felt.
He was the younger son. Had 4 brothers, Merle, Walter, Dale, and Harold. His dad grew up nearby in Sabetha, Roy was a nephew to a Mrs. Lewis Moser there, too. Connections all around. They planned a memorial service for September 10th back at the Goff High School auditorium. Reverend Walter Carson from the Christian Church and Soldier gave the message. The local American Legion post, Healdsheim, handled the service.
It shows the community coming together, trying to honor him and process that loss.
So how is Sergeant Royal Fund remembered today? Where does his story end, physically? He's buried overseas. Normandy, American Cemetery, Colleville-sur-Mer, France. Plot J, Row 2, Grave 24.
A strikingly beautiful yet somber place.
And he was awarded the Purple Heart, posthumously, of course, for being killed in action.
Right. And those cemeteries, those memorials, they're so important, aren't they? They aren't just rows of markers. They really do preserve these individual stories, like Roy's. They give future generations, people like us, a tangible place to connect with that sacrifice. It stops being just a number in a history book.
It really does. Seeing the name on the cross, knowing a bit of the story, it makes it real. These records, the grave, they anchor it all. So that really wraps up our deep dive today into Roy Elfund's life. We've traced him from that Kansas farm through enlistment, those unexpected health issues.
The spine, the mumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally to France and his sacrifice there.
It really is a powerful example of how these, seemingly dry records, a draft card, a news clipping, a casualty report, how they can come together to tell such a compelling, such a deeply human story. It's a stark reminder of the individual cost behind the big historical events we read about.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Maybe think about how stories like Roy Fund's give us that direct emotional link to the past. It takes us beyond just dates and battles, doesn't it? Into real human experience, courage, resilience, loss.
And maybe here's something to ponder. We've pieced together a lot from these records about Roy's life, his service. But what about the things that aren't written down? What layers of his personal courage, his fears maybe, the specific grief felt by his family and community? What parts of that story remain untold? And how could trying to imagine or seek out those hidden narratives deepen how we understand not just history, but maybe the human spirit itself?